It's Rich Tarani in the TMC Newsroom on the road. Today we are at the Streaming Media East Show, and I'm speaking with Mike Nan, who's the Director of Marketing and Communications at Digital Rapids. Mike, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks very much for having us, Rich.
Could you give me an overview of your company, please?
Sure. Digital Rapids was started in 2001, and our mandate when we started the company, the founding fathers had a lot of background in broadcast and post-production, so the creation of traditional television and film and so forth. And the vision was that all of this media would be, the television experience, I guess you could say, would be moving onto IP networks in the future. It was an odd time to have that vision, of course. The dot-com crash had happened and a lot of people were skeptical of that, but we truly believed in it. And a lot of people interpreted that as web streaming, but we saw it as far more than that. The move to IP-based workflows within production for high-end features, the move to the web and mobile devices, and even internet-connected televisions. So when we started the company, we were very careful to pick our spots, focusing on things like encoding for post-production, where the market was ready for that. But as the market evolved and the multi-platform experience started becoming a reality for so many customers, we were ready to be in the market with solutions that were ideal for it at the time.
That's great. Now, I understand that you're also playing more on the enterprise side of the business. How's that going?
That's going very well for us. One of the things we found, as I mentioned, our core markets were media and entertainment, but we also found that we were getting a significant customer base building up within the enterprise. One of the reasons for that is, because of the requirements of the higher-end customers we were dealing with, quality was such a focus for us. I mean, what people were finding was, if we did put video on the web, it didn't look like web video. It was a much higher quality experience. And that was filtering down into things like government and corporations and education, who also, valued the same things, but we hadn't been directly targeting. The one thing we found with our existing solutions, though, is that the sheer depth and technical configurability of the systems made them a little bit intimidating to users sort of on the business side of things. So a couple of years ago, we came up with a concept for a product called TouchStream, which takes the same hardware and software technology that powers the high-end encoders that you'd see at a customer like NBC, but puts it into an appliance form factor that's suitable for use within an organization. And the response to it's been phenomenal.
So what sort of pain do you take away for your customers?
One of the biggest things is, making it easy to operate. There's no question today putting video on the internet in a YouTube type format, uploading to a portal is a lot easier than it was. But if you're trying to create a television-like experience with the reliability of a television experience, the so-called 5 nines that broadcasters expected, and the manageability to be able to create multiple channels for a high-end operation, or even just manage it reliably if you're doing a CEO webcast within an organization and you need to make sure that nothing fails during that course of time. These are all tools and philosophies that were available in the broadcast space that we came from, but when we started the company in the webcasting space, I guess you could say, that was still relatively immature. So we brought a lot of the same concepts, the same reliabilities, the same technologies that we came up with in broadcast and brought them to the internet and mobile streaming space. The other key thing for us was multi-platform. Making sure, very few customers today are asking us to just do stuff on the web. They want to do it on web and mobile. The iPhone is a big thing for everybody.
Sure.
And one of the things our very first system 9 years ago was designed to do was output from multiple devices simultaneously in real time.
That's
so
great.
Instead of needing a rack of gear to reach them all, you could do it all in one encoder.
That's great. Now, what about cloud and companies looking at doing this in the cloud? Is that a competitive area, or is that something that's complementary to what you're doing?
In some ways it's competitive. Well, it doesn't necessarily compete with us per se, because at the back end of a cloud type experience, you still need the technology that does the encoding and transcoding.
So you could power the cloud-based system.
Exactly. Beyond that, that's very viable for something like, a file-based transcode where you're uploading content. But for live experiences, the cloud isn't quite as viable necessarily, because you still have to have a direct connection to your video source. So you would have some form of encoder still at the origin, and that's where we would play as well.
Fantastic. So final question is, what's next for your company?
Next is a bit of an evolution beyond just pure encoding and streaming. I mean, the compression-related stuff, encoding and streaming and transcoding were where we grew up. But the next step for our customers is, now that they have this plethora of media that they're creating, better ways to distribute it in a B2B sort of scenario. I mean, the traditional analogy, I guess you could say, would be broadcasters getting stuff out to their affiliates. Now, if a major studio creates a new piece of content, not only do they have to get it out to the cinemas and the broadcasters they're dealing with and the VOD houses, it's also going on web portals and mobile devices. So we've come up with a new set of technologies for more efficiently distributing that content to their distribution partners and collaborators faster and more cost effectively, which in this market, of course, in post-recession is a very big thing for our customers.
That's fantastic, and it was great speaking with you and meeting you today. Thanks for being on the program.
Thanks again for having me, Rich. Appreciate it.